Hello, I'm your host, William Waterway, and welcome to segment 1 of a gathering of island poets. This program was originally broadcast live for 3 hours on MVTV's Channel 13. The poets who are participating in this segment are Michael West, Rayanne King, Marjorie Benjamin, Marjorie Gibbons Pat Masick, Random B. Kiotek, Brooks Robards, and Lisa Smith, who will be introducing the jailhouse poet, Stephen Todd Booker. I now invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy a unique collection of island poetry. So what I would like is to give a round of applause for the board of directors of MVTV and their staff that made all this possible. Thank you. And thank you. This is an historic first. This is the first live TV studio audience in the history of Martha's Vineyard. For our viewers and studio audience, we're going to produce this in 2 segments. The first segment, we're just going to have 2 poems by one individual who's coming up. And then we're going to go to the second segment, which is our 12 poets who signed up in advance, and they will be reading several poems for about 10 minutes each. To honor this gathering of poets, I thought it very appropriate to read something from Dionys Coffin Riggs. Besides being a dear friend, Dionys created a legacy for island poetry at her Cleveland house in West Tisbury. This is a legacy continued by her daughter, Cynthia Riggs, who is a writer. Dionys, along with other island poets, such as Joseph Chase Allen and Nancy Luce, left a legacy for the poets of today to carry on with. As a matter of fact, who can forget Nancy Luce, the chicken lady, who wrote all of her love poetry to her chickens? And, you know, it just shows poets can write on just about any subject and do it with love, humor, and feeling. This is from Dionys, and this is for you, Dionys. The title of her poem is, I Loved You. When they gave you blood, I held your hand. Your fingers clung to mine. When they tried your hands, I cut the bounds and held your hands in mine. When they told me you had died, I could not cry. Thank you, Dionys. And thank you. Now let's enjoy our first live TV gathering of island poets. The poet will come up and tell you their name, give you the title of the poem, and then read their poetry. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ann Boyer, and the name of this poem used to be A Process. I decided to change it to How It Goes, and I thought it would be a good start because it's about how my process of writing poetry goes. My poem may start condensing at a point where warm-soaked reverie has met a morning's cold awaking. Its juice may gush forth from a joint or gather like a slow, ungelling sap to a wet drop. I, the waker, know well this quaking, and recognizing season's saturation, tend the first cups, draft by deliberate draft, blending deliveries in attentive wonder. A poem may take months for maturation as I feel over the wanderings of craft, hearing more clouds echo and thunder. Finally, all work and weather bring me round some bend, and there it is, foreign but familiar, the end. And I have another poem written for a friend whose husband has a very debilitating degenerative disease. But the imagery comes from the Vineyard, and the title is On the Widow's Walk. You are seeing what you don't want to see. You are learning what you'd rather not know. The impossible soreness in your chest is voice for him, is howl for him ground down, as cells wash out, as sand by grain is lost. The moans drive through the cracks in shutters' clasps, with wails as far as hurricane itself. Your generous red strikes forth, your mercy blue, your lighthouse searching, focused flashes call, a trying to pierce through, but finding all this depthless fog, or mirrors huge as sky, that rock your captain in his blind deluge. Thank you.
I'm Michael West. My first poem is Talkin' Disillusioned Blues. I was born in 1947, north of hell and south of heaven. About that time, the sun went down on San Francisco, my hometown. I stuck my head out to see what's cooking, but it was dark. I should have crawled back in, but there I was by the Golden Gate, just about 100 years too late for the great gold rush of '49. Oh, my darling Clementine, how time does fly. Tempest fugitive, like a jailbird with hounds on his tail. I was raised upon the American dream. It was lily white and toothpaste clean, with TV sets and movie screens, subscriptions to Life magazine. Then Life folded and God died. They held the services right there on the cover of Time. To the British Isles, my daddy went spying for our government, and it was there in London town I saw him hang Old Glory upside down, shouting, "Go home, Yank, and ban the bomb," years before I ever heard of Vietnam. Back stateside on an ocean liner, I found myself in North Carolina with the devil dogs of Camp Lejeune. You know, I felt like howling at the moon. Them jarheads say a service brat is lower than whale shit on the ocean floor. If that weren't enough, I was a Catholic too, want to get laid, don't know what to do. I'd dance and give all the girls a peck, tickle them a little on the back of the neck. But that'd never satisfy them, and I'd wonder why, thinking as I did that babies would come from the sky. So I studied hard and got good grades, avoiding the hoods and their switchblades, but I never got in with the partying bunch. Socially, I was out to lunch, a lonely teenager wannabe hip. Forget about school, let your grades slip. Well, a few years later, and we're moving on, my daddy's working at the Pentagon. My mama's in the bottle regularly, and I was learning plain geometry when word came down on my high school PA bulletin, Dallas. Who shot JFK? Then my daddy went off to Vietnam, and the protest shit really hit the fan. Seems I was the son of a capitalist pig, killing innocent civilians. Dig, everything I knew was TV lies. I thought who, what, when, but the hows got me wise. I dropped marijuana and hashish too. Some window pane, sunshine blue, amphetamines to stay up late, and downers just to ease the weight. Carrying a lot of heavy shit around thinking I was hip, walking and talking a bad trip. Then I met a pretty girl and I fell in love, push come to shove with the thought of love. It went hand in glove, psychedelicatessen with the ultimate Zen Buddhist lesson. I was reaching out for that big brass ring, and then I found it in my nose, and she led me by that thing. Well, there's more to the story as I know you thought, only this is just about as far as I've got. Winter come along, I'm going to add a verse. You know it can't get too much worse, so stay tuned, folks. You got nothing to lose. You've been listening to those Talkin' Disillusioned Blues. Suicide squirrels. I can't get that picture out of my head. A fat black crow picking at the fur of the suicide squirrel squashed flat on the road. Tyus Cove Road by Crow Hollow. When do words matter to you when you hear a poem? Do you want them to be pretty? Squashed flat with tire treads marking its pelt. The body of a Marine painted on the road like a lipstick kiss. Rendered as food for the rats of the sky. Its squirrely features refusing to let you pretend that it's a leafy branch, that it's a paper cup, that it's a clump of mud. No, it's dead meat, a suicide squirrel. And I know you've had this experience. You're driving down the road in broad daylight, and a sudden gray streak in the corner of your eye becomes something that you struggle to avoid. God, I hope I missed him. but you never really know because your car is too heavy to register the crushing of a suicide squirrel. Like you don't notice lots of things. Let's take Iraq. When was the last time you were able to focus on how many people have died there? Yes, it's an ugly subject. Of course, you know more people have died there since the conflict supposedly ended than in all of the so-called war against weapons of mass destruction. What weapons? Should I switch the subject now to love or sunsets? But I'm going to go on and say we have sold out the heart and soul of America and feathered the nests of the undeserving corrupted few who run these corporations like Bechtel and Halliburton, cutting every corner and breaking every rule, running down every opportunity to crush a suicide squirrel. Unless you hate the beauty of our young or fear it, unless you don't care about their right to live and love, unless you're using their youth to defend a lie, lining your pockets with that green paper you call truth? Why do we send our young ones out to die like so many suicide squirrels? After all, after laying the gravel 2 inches deep on my driveway, cutting the grass, raking up pine needles and scrub oak leaves, crawling under my house among spider webs and mouse droppings to turn on the outdoor shower, and weeding my garden so the little things can bloom, I thought I was ready for summer to come visiting me. After watching that errant robin collide again and again with the window pane, for 4 straight days, mating or fighting or straw in its beak, building a nest, I thought I was ready for spring to go back where it came from. After all, I'm just a man. There is so much I do not understand about myself, about you, about the pathway. We walk through the woods to a quiet beach on the North Shore with so many smooth stones, and the waves curl around them and tell them how it all began so long ago, rocking them to sleep at night singing of how the stones and the sand are one. And I thought I was ready for life to unfold its mystery. I thought I was ready for love. I thought I was ready to feel. I thought I was ready to give myself away. Early morning love letter. Peggy, I keep waking early, so I must have lots to do, and my body's trying to tell me it wants to get help too. But looking out my window, I can see oceans of leafy green, dripping wet from still more rainfall, and not from morning dew. Welcome to the early morning mind of Doggerel Man. The music in his head is like a shopping bag full of empty cans rattling, not one hand clapping, and here we go again with another wet and soggy start. Maybe the sun will peek out? We can only hope so, hope so, hope so. School is almost at an end, and that must be a little bittersweet for you. New stuff to do, getting all of your tutoring lined up, planned out, and letting go of the school routine and all the faces, happy and otherwise, that have filled your life this year, and that you'll now see infrequently. Over in this house, Chris and Harry still sleeping our horses at the gate. Their mother and I haven't yet figured out how we're going to handle them this summer, except for a few official dates, but soon that will be upon us to resolve. My coffee's ready. I need to do a little work before they rise and dress and express their needs and their wants and their wishes, and I cook and clean and cajole and encourage and prod and search for something they have to wear today. Maybe it's in the dryer. Dryer is the word to my way of thinking. Ah, well, I can always think of my 2 fledgling beds planted with summer greens, who must be grateful for the rain that nourishes them as they will nourish me. Were your dreams sweet dreams last night, Peggy? I know you were in mine. In a late spring wind. Can't think of a word to say, though I feel you closer now. Where I have touched you echoes in my fingertips. I'll let silence do my talking. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ray King, and I'd like to share 2 poems. The first is titled, The Woman in the Moon. We have worshipped the sun as God since the beginning of time. Add another light to this alliance, the moon. Together they reign and balance day and night. Balance brings wisdom forth, wisdom that is feminine. Wisdom that exists between the lines, in the void, in the blank pages of books, within the circle. Begin filling those blank pages. See your feminine aspect. Look at the goddess in the moon and rejoice that she is with you. Months change with the changing moon as she journeys through the zodiac. She makes her journey time. The secret wisdom of the moon creates a pathway to our inner selves, to psyche, to the anima, to the female principle, to our mandala. Herein lie the lost secrets of the universe, within the female principle, and this principle lies within each of us. Within our center, combining the sun and the moon into a whole, illuminating our being from within. The moon presents the same face to the earth as she revolves on her axis and performs her revolution. The rate of actual rotation is substantially uniform, while the arc through which she moves day to day varies somewhat. This variation is called liberation, as she oscillates within 6 and 7 degrees of center. The moon comes out after the sun has gone down. Sometimes they're visible in the sky at the same time and shine together. Usually, they take turns lighting the way. The moon rules the sign of Cancer, and Cancer rules the home. It is the 4th house, the house of coming home. The moon in the night sky smiles with a caring light, surrounded by stars, generating moonbeams of love, while creating a silver glow over land and sea, lighting our way in the darkness. So, you see, it's not the man in the moon, it's the woman in the moon. Circles. Circles offer answers. We see them beckoning all around, in the mandala shapes of flowers, in astrological charts, in the potter's wheel, and in our journey back to our roots. Look to the circle for renewal. Look to our own mandalas. The way out is the way in to our own center, our own roots. And that center is balance and light. And my last poem's brief. It's called Stone. I carried a stone home from the beach because the sea would not fit in my pocket. Thank you.
Marjorie Benjamin, anyway. Write a lot of stories that should be stories and they become poems somehow. They're about my family and about growing up and other things too, but I brought the ones that are about people. This one's about my grandmother, Etty. Born Etta Strassman, they called her Etty. 4 small siblings died in a scarlet fever epidemic. 4 small tombstones in the Fall River Cemetery. Edward, James, Sarah, and Fanny, father's little lame duck. 4 gone in 2 weeks. Only Dolphus, Etty, and little Henry remained. Red-headed Dolphus marched off to war to fight his southern cousins. When he was 13 and Eddie was 5, a big boy, he lied about his age to get the bounty money. The parents were broken-hearted. Became a drummer boy in an artillery unit, returned with Civil War diary and a medal, and stories for the rest of his life. Strassman's had a horse and carriage and a horse-driven sleigh. Eddie slept in a trundle bed with hot brick flannel wrapped. Mother Strassman baked 7 pies, one for each day of the week. Father built a circus in their backyard, played with his children as one of them. When Eddie enrolled in a one-room schoolhouse, little brother Henry sobbed so sadly that their mother begged to let him stay, remain till graduation day. At the blackboard, Ida Standing signed herself I.P. Standing. Lizzie Borden was, said Eddie, a very nice girl. Now her home is a bed and breakfast. Have to pay extra to sleep in the murder room. Eddie went to Sunday school with her friends. You can learn no harm in the house of God, or so her mother said. Daughter married a kinsman from Hungary. The rabbi took the Fall River line from New York. At the ceremony, Eddie looked out the window, seeing skaters on the way to the pond. Looked back ever after. This one's called Half of Something. The Berger sisters were known as the girls long past the time when they weren't. Baby Beatrice, the family beauty, married early and foolishly. Sweet Sally, born Sadie, was a school teacher, sent back letters with spelling corrected. Amy named Mally for the heroine of an Irish novel, an unlikely name for a Jewish girl, was her mother proudly proclaimed in business, first as a secretary, then salesperson for Emmanuel Electrical Supplies, dreary and dirty under the 3rd Avenue L. Irreverent Fanny, the eldest, died mysteriously. Nobody mentioned her name. Beatrice always got teary-eyed, telling how they had read poetry together. Eddie, a childlike woman, relived forever the Fall River days of her youth. Whatever she had known of sex was forgotten like life's mistake. Poor M.K. Berger, her husband, very popular with his male friends, spent hours at home playing solitaire and died early on of pernicious anemia. Fanny, as a child, terrorized her frantic mother, screaming, "I want half of something, half of something." Mother took her on long stopping strips, finally pointing out some doll or stuffed animal. "I want half of that." But she was never pleased. They brought her a grand piano, lavished lessons on the unhappy girl. She studied to be a concert pianist, had a few favorable recitals, gave private lessons for a while, then sold sheet music at Macy's. What happened to Fanny? Why did she die so young? Why did they stop talking about her? She never found the half she was looking for. Sort of family history. Here we go. Garbage. She stands on the sidewalk, hollow-eyed, staring into space, seeing nothing, not even the garbage. Mountains of black plastic bags lining both sides of the street, endless putrefaction. The aunts were waiting to be taken to the home and hospital for the aged. The room smelled of stale dust and musty cretonne. One in a wheelchair, tearing up yellowed old love letters. One ripping dried, crumbling photos. Lives lay in tatters on the floor. Tatters stuffed into black plastic bags, along with empty cans of salmon, boxes of farina, banana skins. Garbage to feed the hungry seagulls at the Staten Island land refill. history of my family. This is me. Nanny and Tootie. At Mother's dressing table, you were able to see 3 of you, all with long brown curls and eyes of blue. They were the best of girls and did the things you do and said the things you say and backed you up in every way. An only child is a lonely child, not me. I had 2 pals, Nanny and Tootie. They were gals whose lives defied propriety, with schemes of infinite variety. Let's cut the curls, they said. We all agreed that this indeed would be a bold and daring deed. Scissors snipped, and one by one the curls came off. It was great fun until my mother saw me bobbed. Oh, how she sobbed. First boyfriend. Far away and far away. I had long curls and came to play. You gave me an Emmy and 3 baseball cards, far away and far away. Long ago and long ago, I was your girl and you were my beau. We kissed on the grass in Central Park, confessed all our secrets in the dark. Long ago and long ago. Years rolled by and years rolled by. You married twice and so did I. You called long distance and you could quote some of the poetry I once wrote. A year rolled by and a year rolled by. I sent you a letter and tried to phone, but the letter came back, address unknown. Paper dolls. Jane Sinclair and I played with paper dolls. We cut them from McCall's and Cosmopolitan and Mrs. Sinclair's old Butterick pattern books. This is my family. This is your family. This is my husband and these are your husband. These are my children and these are your children. This is my mansion and my swimming pool. This is your mansion and your swimming pool. I lived in a 3-room apartment in the Bronx. Jane lived in a house on Ogden Avenue by the trolley tracks, where her father was. From Jane's backyard, you could see the New York Central, where her father was a railroad conductor. I had long brown curls and blue eyes. Jane had blonde hair and a Buster Brown haircut. Her face was on all the Bond bread trucks. We didn't like boys much, especially Gordon. We'd yell, "Gideon Gordon gooey soup, Gideon Gordon gooey soup." When the Cardinals came to town, we cut school, crossed the McCombs Dam Bridge to the Polo Grounds to watch Dizzy and Daffy Dean steal bases from the Giants, screaming our heads off. Later, I owned a mansion with a pool in Connecticut. The mansion was cold and drafty, too costly to heat. I divorced my husband, married my children's doctor. I think Gordon died in World War II. I don't know what became of Jane, and I wonder if she remembers me and the paper dolls.
My name is Marjorie Gibbon Pat Massick. Long name. This one is called I'm Getting Ready to Nestle Down. I've been 3 days out of a hospital, so if I sound funny, I can't really help it. I'm getting ready to nestle down. Fill up the nest of your heart tonight, my love. I remember once cradled by you. Hard to say where we were. There was no sin anywhere. And we were outside the law of gravity. This is called 1958. I was the only albino at the Academy of Music, honored and then sad by joy in the morning, and I've been to the mountain. Honored yet unsurprised when a light from down below flashed on me. The balcony of safety, honor, I think I even stood up. Comfort, how long I have striven, nostalgia for wholeness with which I can best do God's will. Scattered, multicolored confetti, a longer draught of your love, gentle laughing together, erupting from so much pain and insult, showering on me like a magnolia dropping crunch-colored and raspberry cream petals and epistles of love everywhere. What we present to the world with an apology isn't often who we really are. We're better. This one I wrote today. I'm just going to throw it in because I thought it was kind of magic. I have such a strange sensation of you being me in your touch, words, or a different way you relate painful words back to me. Is it that we are all each other? What a wonderful new world. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Random Be Chaotic, and I choose to do my thing today as pseudonym the Reverend Random Be Chaotic, if you will. I have a ministry, and it's of chaos, and it leads into the segue of this poem called Coexistence, which, if you understand chaos, needs to exist for us to coexist. So this is by Random Be Chaotic, Random Be Chaotic, 9/11/2003. Don't point your fingers, they're sharp and have nails, the same ones that impaled Jesus. Things aren't hopeless, not hocus pocus, just a little out of focus. We can learn to coexist, live in bliss, not in crisis. Don't dismiss or piss on your neighbors. Do them a favor. We're all the saviors. Be on your best behaviors. We're all living on the same sphere. It's called Mother Earth. For whatever it's worth, Madonna gave birth to the sun and the moon. Salvation is coming soon. The light is shining through. No need to be blue. I'm talking to you. Be one of the few that will judge the many when this game is through. I think maybe you'll get the theme of the Reverend Random Be Chaotic as I go along. You can work with me here. This is called In the Heavenscape, In the Heavenscape, In the Heavenscape. Let mongers have war. The hungry will not starve for grace. General Motors can still set the pace. The human race don't have to chase anyone, anything, or any place. The souls of the righteous are safe in the heavenscape. The devil's head's on a plate in the heavenscape. It'll never be too late in the heavenscape to choose a different fate in the heavenscape. You'll need no date, time, or year. Won't be nothing in sight and or mind to fear. Nobody in or nothing considered queer. There'll be nothing infinite or finite, just clear for the heart to feel. It will be a meal for the exalted, starvation of ignorance, like a second chance to do it all over again, the Supreme's way, to live to see an endless day, come whatever, come what may. Evil will be silenced with nothing to say. In the heavenscape, there'll be nothing to pay, not for the poor in spirit or otherwise disadvantaged, just wine and romance in the heavenscape, in the heavenscape, in the heavenscape. Punk rock's the cure. Don't need a state to be united. Laws when united Borders to see united, currency to live united, stay divided, restrictions, commissions, authorities, minorities, low-income apartments, there's plenty of room to go around, don't have to sell it by the pound. Live like freaking hounds, this ain't the last go round, can't get me down. I've been around, freestyle, walking a lean mile, won't see me cower in this final hour. I got way more power than that, rat-a-tat-tat, random be Geronimo like that. Hung like a bat, words on the attack, strip mine and bombardment, bloodletting department. Take your hats off to freaking John Ashcroft. Ready to die, so white of them. My Lord, will somebody please reel them all in. Freely restricted speech, no power to impeach, not at this woeful hour of stolen presidencies, towering infernos, subliminal commercials, last stage rehearsals. These are lean times, ain't feeling so fine, living with rhyme or reason, treason, freezing. America the conqueror that became a country that became the invader. Singularity don't come easy. This point doesn't either. Sweat, sweat, sweat. Work, war, play. Bones dance on fire, then decay. The organ grinder, well, he was gay. Fog winds blown right from my lungs. I'm breaking hearts with my cleats. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Dance apart to your beat, chubby checkers. Get up off your feet. Chance made harmony and dance the tango, baby, all in a cacophonic language shoot. But you didn't know the alphabet. You weren't in the loop. Got married to Betty Boop. Ended up in hot soup. The wind speaks through the leaves, the trees, the keeper of times forever. Hopes drown, turn to fate. I'm tired of the wait. Won't be late to this next date. I'm not gonna hate. Could be living as one in the sun, having fun. But I'm fat, you know, and you're thin. Or is it, you're thin and I'm fat. I still win. Trouble's on the way. I'm not afraid to say ain't nothing but a thing. You feel me? I'm a bad boy. Bada bing. Just gotta sing out in the night, not out of fright. The neighbors won't leave me alone. Just gotta get home. Being techno, being Euro, being paramilitary. Not in it just for me, in it for the TLC. Noise emergence, rhythm convergence. Planetary pandemonium comes in low sodium, Imodium, iridium, time-space continuum. Trust and steal your last meal, no time to heal from your wounds. The hour's getting late. Time has sealed our fate. Oh, so now you're fashionably anarchist. Tell me, what's the Kropotkin quit? It's nothing but a pop quiz. It lasts long, short, long. You're having a choice. But most times it's multiple choice. My mother's starting to stall, walking a long black hall. Sometimes having a ball. When bang like that, it sets you back down in the mud, face up in the sun, ever so dark, in a haze, through some maze, just to make you crazy. Say you're lazy. How I wish there was no way to speak, no words to divide us. Punk rock's the cure. I can't take it no more. I'm tired. I'm sore. I just have to endure. Punk rock's the cure.
My name is Brooks Robards. The first poem I'm going to read comes from my newest collection of Vineyard poems. It's called Seabound. The poem is called Neptune's Throne. Beneath Aquinas dunes, beachcombers have built a driftwood chair on pebble overlooking the breakers. Crab's claws and seashells hang mobile from tridents, posted by chair's arms. Boat cushion pads the seat. For a minute I sit, looking out at blue water and sky, open between two wedges of cloud cover. The ocean breathes deeply as it sidles in against shore, rolls up, bears itself before the crest, then exhales into foam. Shadows of underwater life float through lucent swells, solemn in veneration before the water god's throne, where I perch to watch, to lose self in sea sounds, in harmonies of motion's drumbeat, the pulse of life. Next, I want to read some more recent work. This first poem is called A Picnic. Friendship makes a basket lunch to share up island on a beach lent by others after the gate is unlocked at the end of the season. While hurricane season surf has started to bury our driftwood chair in sand, it remains a suitable spot for camera shots and a checkered cloth near the dunes. Egg salad, chocolate, fruit bring curious gulls, confessions touch the heart. Sunshine and ocean's warmth invite us each to find a way into the soft surf, in nothing but our skins, to make a celebration at summer's end, our camaraderie, a salute to freedom in passing. This poem is called War Art, Martha's Vineyard, and it commemorates an exhibit of statements about war by vineyard artists that happened this summer. Let go, plow grief into fields of wildflowers. Make peace with the coolness of slate. Turn a face of death into the mask of beauty. Bend sorrow around simple browns of branches and frame a headstone. Bring peace to those who have passed on. Catch the burqa beside a tank. Hide it behind a sequined veil. Let it lift and show what eyes cannot hide. Let laundry loose before barns netted with gray stripes and stitched in the color of blood. Let eggshells speak of freedom, of strength. With a woman's prayers, let the soul fly. Take care and forge it in stainless steel to mark an angel's passage. Let Persian lances sing the grievous dirge of death. Melt toy soldiers onto solid ground for the warrior who leads our way into eternity. Let every word that limns the path for the newborn's journey send its clarion call. Mirror morning with the sight of a gun, leaving bullets below. Let the hand speak. Make a swarm of beetles from faraway land on the moon's surface. Cover flags of war with the script of God. Unlock the heart and find the key to hope. Put together what many see into one quilt that will cover this war-torn world for a time. This one is called Hurricane Warning, and it begins with a quote from the Cape Cod Times. Meteorologists are predicting an above-average number of storms this hurricane season. Well, as you know, that prediction is made every few years. Yesterday, the barometer dropped. Dragonflies swarmed in the field behind Blackthorn Farm. Swallows dipped and swirled like kites over the alfalfa, feasting on low-flying insects. It was time to put up the storm boards, take down the hanging plants, get ready for heartbreak season. The first squall hit indoors at an artist studio. Who would have thought? Once the kids pulled the plug, sent you home to the cats and your garden, you were too tired to get out of your hospital bed and go smell the flowers. Who's ever ready when your time is up? This is called Anne Vanderhoop. A woman deeply still, she perches on a stool at the family business on the clay cliffs, active in her silence, amused by the commerce. For a minute, I see through her eyes, past an old family inn half hidden in the grasses, under the hill's curve to shoreland, snaking east into the distance. Its dunes not yet burnished, the waters still warm, but roiled by a hurricane passing south. I look into a universe tourists come for, but never take home, because it is hers, and she is part of it. The beauty without words, another world that I want too, but she lives as if it is contained within a globe at the center of her being, made of sand, of grasses, cranberry bogs, herring runs, sky, and always the shifting colors of the sea. This poem is called Living Alone. Has its consolations. Anger doesn't bleed onto your lover. If you harbor your pain in confidence, like a pearl, you can savor it. Turn it around in the place where your heart hides until healing may happen for a while. Your tears need no explanations and betrayals. Stay at bay when you keep them to yourself for a while. We must keen our losses solitary, whether mourning seasons end, death's approach, or failures of imagined beauty and successes that dissipate next to hope for a while. Buried pain festers, cannot be shared, must be cast out by the self where no one else wanders for a while. Life is a gift, not given, but on loan or just gone, much as we love ourselves and our lovers for a while. This poem is called Moon Blindness, and it begins with a definition of moon blindness. In horses, fever follows flu-like symptoms, depression, anorexia, then lacrimation, and in the acute stages, photophobia. This yellow July moon rides high in the sky at the back of the house, makes me crazy when it shrinks over the sound. Since it's turned cool, no mockingbird perches on the pinnacle of next door's tower. He's gone to make his nest elsewhere. I miss his Carolina Wren rendition now, when the cancer has moved from Annabelle's throat into her bones. The woman with a remarkable childhood is too tired to talk on the phone, so what's the point? She wants to live, so do I, but not like that with chemical cocktails baked in a nuclear oven. Our bodies may be temporary harbors, but damn this crazy-making moon anyway, and the swollen eye disease. Who's next? This is called Night Terrors. Small feet pound out rhythms of rage on the bedroom floor. Eyes wide, a little boy chants in 3-year screams, pajamaed and rigid. No grown-up embrace will quell the storm, nor can words soothe one who looks but does not see or hear with reason. What troubled dreams drive so much passion, bring on so much turbulence? Midnight lullabies will not calm or end the anguish of abandonment. Is innocence finished before a womb passage ends? Children must live where we do, must take on our fears, our pain before light, and sleep, limp body, returns. This is called Pie in the Sky. A waning moon hauls itself out of mist and water. Its light reaches up to split night clouds like wedges of pie. Too bad the artist recently deceased can't paste her paper moon, painted gold, there permanently next to the planet. It wouldn't be Mars. Her water-wash field of blue, so much prettier than today's surly gray surf, might lift Neptune's throne out of the sand and save it from the coming storm. This one is called Season of Anger. Trees scream in color. Warmth comes with light and goes in shadows. The anguish of dying spreads beauty across the prairies, where berries ripen in the brush and leaves drop with a clatter. Ride with the wind, but nights will still bring morning frost. Sunblasts will end early. Hurry, your days are numbered. Will you find peace in the season's death when your own follows? Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Brooks. And thank you for staying with us here at the first Martha's Vineyard live television broadcast. We're making history here today, and certainly I think poets are used to making history. In fact, in some countries, poets have lost their lives for their poetry and have gone to jail for their poetry. So I must say that poetry is alive and well on Martha's Vineyard. We have a special feature coming up. It is a video done of a poet who is in jail. And with us to tell us more about this video is Lisa Smith. She is a video producer with Somerville Access TV. She is a MVTV member. And Lisa has been summering on Martha's Vineyard all her life, from day one just about. And so welcome, Lisa Smith.
Thank you. I just want to preface the video that you're about to see. I work at Somerville Community Access Television. It's right outside of Boston, and I coordinate poetry shoots sometimes. And so one of the poets there, who's connected with the New Renaissance Press, which is a literary magazine, asked me if I could find a videographer in Florida to produce a shoot on death row in one of the prisons outside of Gainesville. And I didn't know anybody, but through community access, I tried to find someone through the websites. And there was no one near there, and they asked me to fly down there and do it. So I flew down there, and what you're about to see is the poetry of this man named Stephen Todd Booker. He's been on death row for 27 years. He was in his early 20s when he was sentenced to the electric chair. And his case is on appeal now for life in prison, but not death. And he has been on 4 death watches prior to this. And he started writing poetry when he was in prison. That's when he started to write poetry. I'm not going to mention too much about his past, but he did have a rough life growing up. He's been published in over 30 countries, including Japan, China, all over Europe, Brazil, Australia. He has 2 books of poetry, one out from called Waves and Licenses and Tug. And one of the first times he was published was in the New Renaissance. And this video you're about to see, it's the first time he has ever spoken his poetry to an audience. And this was last month when the video was shot. And that's it. Enjoy.
Stephen Todd Booker, death row inmate for nearly 27 years. In that time, he has become a world-class poet. He is internationally acclaimed. I'm Tom Wallace-Lyons here at the Union Correctional Institution. I'm here on behalf of the New Renaissance, an international publication dedicated to ideas and opinions with an emphasis on the arts. Stephen, I'm very glad to get this chance to see you, and I apologize to refer you to Stephen when I did an introductory take yesterday.
Quite all right.
Okay, many people, it seems to me from what I know about you that you began to develop this talent after you were incarcerated, and most people don't think of a prison environment as being a place which is going to inspire anybody. How did you manage, from where did you get the inner resources to get out into the world with your poetry?
Well, my first day on death row, I noticed that guys didn't do anything. They just sat around and worried and just kicked around their cases and their troubles, and I didn't want to live like that.
No, you didn't.
So I gave myself a sort of re-education. I read everything that I could put my hands on that I'd already read, because I have always been a real avid reader. So I ordered books from the library, and I had a few people that I knew on the street. They got me some books, and I really did try to give myself a liberal arts education, you know, as best I could. And I found that poetry caught my interest, so I started reading poetry from the Greeks forward, you know, the Iliad and the Odyssey, all the way through every era of poetry that I could find, you know. And
That's a lot of poetry.
it's a lot of poetry.
And,
Civil War poetry, the beats, everybody, you know.
So the Romantic poets, 19th century, 20th
Everybody.
century.
Well, one of my favorite poets was Gerald Manley Hopkins.
Uh-huh.
He caught my eye, and he kind of, I felt like he was nodding his head to me in some of his writing and giving me a wink, telling me that I could do anything I wanted to do, you know, literally on the page, if I just used my head doing it, you know. Part of the allure of Tug, I think, happens to be that I wrote it to evoke passions on the part of the reader subconsciously, because Tug has, how do you say?
Tell me.
If you look, do you have a copy of Tug?
I gave you mine, but if you read it, maybe we can discuss it. I'm going to make you read part of it twice. So.
All right. This is Tug. I forget what year I wrote it in. It's probably irrelevant. Not many lifetime guarantees exist, yet I might still absolutely become entranced, primal, a dancing, dizzy riff, taut, then loosened, a syncopated drum. But if only I can survive the cold, unawed by the thawed-out realities that shine in from afar, will yesterday's wishes change into a high-flown castle, evolving empty but mine to sell or keep, underwritten by bolts of man-made lightning, numbered at the knees of a steel-gray sky, defaced, weather-beaten, pitted by time, ever silent enough to raise the dead, reborn as shadows going fast asleep. Shivering now, nearly frozen am I, transfixed in front of a dream of myself atop a white-hot cloud. When roused awake, new as you please, I hear voices screaming doubts about things not to be said aloud. And then there, for just an instant, beating, never mistaken for shadows or ghosts, daring to sabotage where they are from. To wit, it is my icy heart come off, upset inside the many sides of me. Guessed we are, in one riff, one chest, one drum.
Some poem. Not many lifetime guarantees exist.
Read the first letter.
Pardon me?
Read the first letter in the margin on this side. The first words.
Yeah.
Straight
Not
down.
yet entranced, taught, but unawed, that wishes evolving, underwritten, numbered, defaced, ever reborn, shivering, transfixed, atop, new doubts, and never daring to upset guests. And
Read the first letter.
T. The first letter on the N. N-Y-E-T. Niet. That's Russian for no. B-U-T-W-E. What is that?
But
But we. Understand and A-N-D and T-U-G. We understand and tug. Wow. Oh, yes. You got that there?
so the reader can read this and not even know that they're reading an acrostic also. Two acrostics.
You had me totally fooled. I was taught to read across a page.
This is a poem where I painted myself into a corner and had to get out. But the poem also had to mean something on the page itself. It means something to me, but I won't give that up. say so myself. I like this poem. The poem works. It's more recent than the others. To play the violin, I'd have to drop this gun and then apply myself to it as if it has come upon me like some bejeweled aptitude for fiddling around, or from a higher homespun air of cunning that deplores a pocket of gas, yet tunnels fluting to an ooze that is imbued with traces of a baser class of dew or tears, and how the mere mention of either follows suit, as does their talent for posing as waxy pearls, dozing or frozen on a cheek or rose until, paying mock homage to the skill of bombardiers, they calibrate descent and then let go. My route to playing the violin must be such that hurls caution into the wind, and afterwards, my will.
You have to calibrate everything like a bombardier and then dare to subordinate yourself to the magic of creation, right?
Say again?
You have to calibrate everything like a bombardier and then dare to subordinate yourself. Tell me am I right?
Calibrating descent in reference to this poem is the same as, like I was just mentioning, coming out of the foxhole, but being already on a higher plane because I know where I'm at when I'm up here writing.
You're outside of yourself.
Sometimes I'm very outside of myself, but I have to know where I'm going to drop. Luckily for this poem, I dropped in the New Renaissance.
They take care of their writers. It's nice.
It's a good place to be. The New Renaissance it's like an old home. I know I'm going to get a good read there, a fast read. I won't be set on for 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months, a year in some cases. I'll get a report. I won't get short shrift. And the editors won't be trying to get me to change a lot of stuff in the poem. They'll trust me. They trust my ability to write. I seek that quite a bit. Because I don't have a Master of Fine Arts or PhD, I look in the contributors' bio notes and I see my competition.
Well, maybe you don't need a Master of Fine Arts or a PhD.
And maybe I don't.
Probably not.
But when I appear in the New Renaissance and really good, prestigious literary journals, I understand that I have a place. Not only in the literary community, I have a place in the culture, in the creative culture of American society.
Hello again. I'm your host, William Waterway. Certainly, I could not imagine what it would be like sitting on death row for 27 years and being called to death watch on 4 different occasions. Certainly, it gives one pause for thought. This concludes segment 1 of our gathering of island poets. I hope you have the opportunity to view the other 2 segments, which will be airing from time to time on MVTV's Channel 13. Until again, bye for now.
Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you 7 miles out to sea. You're an island so dear to me. It's a place so green and pure, where there's water some say can cure. Hiking trails and farms galore, white boats sailing, folks on the shore. Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you. 7 miles out to sea, you're an island so dear to me. Sea clay cliffs with colors bright, 5 lighthouses with shining lights, a place to work and to play, meet friends and lovers along the way. Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you. 7 miles out to sea, you're an island so dear to me. Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you. 7 miles out to sea, you're an island so dear to me. When I found you, you touched my soul, a place to heal from life's toll. I walk your beaches and smell clean air, watch fish swimming, birds everywhere. Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you. 7 miles out to sea, you're an island so dear to me. Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you. 7 miles out to sea, you're an island so dear to me. Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you. 7 miles out to sea, you're an island so dear to me. It's a place so green and pure, where there's water some say can cure. Hiking trails and farms galore, white boats sailing, folks on the shore. Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you. 7 miles out to sea, you're an island so dear to me. clay cliffs with colors bright, 5 lighthouses with shiny lights, a place to work and to play, meet friends and lovers along the way. Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you. 7 miles out to sea, you're an island so dear to me. Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you. 7 miles out to sea, you're an island so dear to me. When I found you, you touched my soul, a place to heal from life's toll. I walk your beaches and smell clean air, watch fish swimming, birds everywhere. Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you. 7 miles out to sea, you're an island so dear to me. Martha's Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, hey, 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 I love you. 7 miles out to sea, you're an island so dear to me.